Rowan Atkinson, also known as the Black Adler. And before anyone types, oh, you mean Mr. Bean? Uh-uh. No, 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 no. In this household, in my house here in Chicago, Rowan is known as the Black Adler here, okay? You could bring up Mr. Bean, but anyone who brings up Mr. Bean, you're going on the crusade to get me the Jade Jasper skull before the next harvest moon, okay? But besides the point, this has to deal with free speech. This has to deal with a thing called Section 5. Now, before I play the video, what is Section 5? What is it about? What is it about? And it has to deal with how people are being, easily offended in the UK. Now, I do have a video that I will also be playing again. I played it on the show earlier, but first let's talk about what is Section 5. Okay. What is about the campaign? So, okay, freedom of speech. The Home Office is currently considering its response to a public consultation, which saw many people make the case for the removal of insulting words or behavior. Insulting words or behavior. Now, listen, high school never ends. I'm sorry, folks. There's going to be bullies. There's going to be jagoffs. There's going to be dickheads. I'm so sorry. You're going to run into it. Men and women are capable of being real jerks. Okay. But also, there's a world of criticism and intellectual criticism. But yet, since we live in a day and age where people are easily triggered and offended, even criticism is being viewed as a threat. So, and this campaign, which brings together people from all walks of life, what it talks about is from religious to secular and from right across the political spectrum, the Christian Institute and National Secular Society have both recognized the need to reform Section 5 if we are to guarantee freedom of expression and the right to a good debate. At best, Section 5 is a legal embodiment of well-meaning bureaucratic, and at worst, is used as a way to silencing those who the authorities don't agree with, be they religious preachers, political activists, or protesters. Freedom of speech. People of the United Kingdom, are you okay? Folks, pay close attention. This campaign is about freedom of speech, but it's also about the reach of the criminal law. Should we really rely on the state to protect us from insult? The answer is no. That's why the First Amendment is the best amendment, baby. USA all the way. We love you, people of the United Kingdom. We love you. Come on. Come on. The following passage from a legal textbook, The Law of Public Order and Protest, notes that Section 5 extends the criminal law into areas of annoyance, disturbance, inconvenience. In particular, it covers behavior which falls short of violence or the threat of violence. So, in other words, folks, I could say anybody who cheers for Team Black in House of the Dragon is a douchebag. No, I don't mean that. Team Green all the way, though. That's the correct choice. Long live King Aegon II. But besides that, I think it's important to hear from Rowan, a.k.a. not Mr. Bean, the Black Adler. And in this household, we call him the Black Adler. And if you don't know what the Black Adler is, it's a work of art. It's beautiful. So let's hear it. And I will do everything in my power to not pause because I think everything he's saying is fundamentally true. And I agree with it. And I believe in reforming Section 5 because you have to have freedom of speech. And if you can't take an insult, then the internet is just not for you.
My starting point when it comes to the consideration of any issue relating to free speech is my passionate belief that the second most precious thing in life is the right to express yourself freely. The most precious thing in life, I think, is food in your mouth. And the third most precious is a roof over your head. But a fixture for me in the number 2 slot is free expression, just below the need to sustain life itself. That is because I have enjoyed free expression in this country all my professional life and fully expect to continue to do so. Personally, I suspect highly unlikely to be arrested for whatever laws exist to contain free expression because of the undoubtedly privileged position that is afforded to those of a high public profile. So my concerns are less for myself and more for those more vulnerable because of their lower profile. Like the man arrested in Oxford for calling a police horse gay.
Okay, that was funny. And also, I realized I pronounced it wrong. The Black Adder, not Adler. I don't know why I put the L in there, but hey, look, folks, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, and it's early in the morning, and I only had 1 cup of coffee, not my 2 cups of coffee.
Or the teenager arrested for calling the Church of Scientology a cult. Or the cafe owner arrested for displaying passages from the Bible on a TV screen. When I heard of some of these more ludicrous offenses and charges, I remembered that I had been here before in a fictional context. I once did a show called Not the 9 O'Clock News some years ago, and we did a sketch where Griff Rhys-Jones played Constable Savage, a manifestly racist police officer to whom I, as his station commander, is giving a dressing down for arresting a black man on a whole string of ridiculous, trumped up and ludicrous charges. The charges for which Constable Savage arrested Mr. Winston Kadogo of 55 Mercer Road were these: walking on the cracks in the pavement, walking in a loud shirt in a built-up area during the hours of darkness, and one of my favorites, walking around all over the place. He was also arrested for urinating in a public convenience and looking at me in a funny way. Who would have thought that we would end up with a law that would allow life to imitate art so exactly? I read somewhere a defender of the status quo claiming that the fact that the gay horse case was dropped after the arrested man refused to pay the fine, and that the Scientology case was also dropped at some point during the court process, was proof that the law was working well, ignoring the fact that the only reason these cases were dropped was because of the publicity that they had attracted. The police sensed that ridicule was just around the corner and withdrew their actions. But what about the thousands of other cases that did not enjoy the oxygen of publicity, that weren't quite ludicrous enough to attract media attention? Even for those actions that were withdrawn, people were arrested, questioned, taken to court, and then released. You know, that isn't a law working properly. That is censoriousness of the most intimidating kind, guaranteed to have, as Lord Deer says, a chilling effect on free expression and free protest. Parliament's Joint Committee on Human Rights summarized, as you may know, this whole issue very well by saying, while arresting a protester for using threatening or abusive speech may, depending on the circumstances, be a proportionate response, we do not think that language or behavior that is merely insulting should ever be criminalized in this way. The clear problem with the outlawing of insult is that too many things can be interpreted as such. Criticism is easily construed as insult by certain parties. Ridicule easily construed as insult. Sarcasm, unfavorable comparison, merely.
By the way, folks, again, this is something we know all too well here in America, where you have triggered people on the left and on the right, because there are SJWs on the right that get easily offended. There's a lot of thin-skinned people out there, some of which have millions of followers on social media, but yet cannot take criticism, cannot take constructive criticism, or get easily offended by somebody speaking at a university or theater or having an online platform. It happens all the time, to which I have to say, maybe the internet is just not for you. Maybe you just can't handle it or dish it. And to that, I say, touch grass and grow up, because there's going to be people out there that are just going to be playing rude, but there's also people out there that are giving constructive criticism. Learn to chill for a minute. Maybe that's what everyone needs to do. But this is a problem, especially in the United Kingdom, where you can't call a horse gay. That's kind of funny. But also, folks, it's harmless. It's not going to start World War III. Well, who knows? Especially in this day and age of easily triggered people. Maybe it could. Maybe it could. Who knows?
Really stating an alternative point of view to the orthodoxy can be interpreted as insult. And because so many things can be interpreted as insult, it is hardly surprising that so many things have been, as the examples I talked about earlier show. Although the law under discussion has been on the statute book for over 25 years, it is indicative of a culture that has taken hold of the programs of success.
D.D. London, sorry, I didn't mean to pause. I'm going to continue on. I'll keep my pausing at a minimum. But D.D. London, he is right. The UK is going down a dangerous road. Article 10 of the Human Rights Act defends freedom of expression, to which I have to say, D.D. London, I'm going to assume that you are from the great city of London. If we have British people watching this live stream right now, or either that will watch this video clipped, please tell us, what are your thoughts right now, especially impacting your country? Because, you know, what happens to you guys over there, more or less theoretically, could kind of happen over here. But oh, wait, it kind of is. After all, Hard Lens Media is the world heavyweight champion of being censored.
Successive governments, that with the reasonable and well-intentioned ambition to contain obnoxious elements in society, has created a society of an extraordinarily authoritarian and controlling nature. That is what you might call the new intolerance, a new but intense desire to gag uncomfortable voices of dissent. I am not intolerant, say many people, say many softly spoken, highly educated, liberal-minded people. I'm only intolerant of intolerance. And people tend to nod sagely and say, oh, yes, wise words, wise words. And yet, if you think about this supposedly inarguable statement for longer than 5 seconds, you realize that all it is advocating is the replacement of one kind of intolerance with another, which to me doesn't represent any kind of progress at all. Underlying prejudices, injustices, or resentments are not addressed by arresting people. They are addressed by the issues being aired, argued, and dealt with, preferably outside the legal process. For me, the best way to increase society's resistance to insulting or offensive speech is to allow a lot more of it. As with childhood diseases, you can better resist those germs to which you have been exposed. We need to build our immunity to taking offense so that we can deal with the issues that perfectly justified criticism can raise. Our priority should be to deal with the message, not the messenger. As President Obama said in an address to the United Nations only a month or so ago, laudable efforts to restrict speech can become a tool to silence critics or oppress minorities. The strongest weapon against hateful speech is not repression, it is more speech. And that's the essence of my thesis, more speech. If we want a robust society.
And that's how I feel too. You want to stop hate speech? We need everyone to speak out. You don't censor, because as soon as you censor, you silence everybody. And as somebody who survives censorship and suppression and seen other people get even hit harder than Hard Lens Media has, I have to tell you, folks, silencing voices doesn't solve anything. All what it does is build more resentment. All what it does is build more chaos. And it puts everyone in their safe space bubbles. And to all those people who are easily triggered on the left and the right, grow the hell up. Life is not a liberal arts campus. Life is not just this one area where everyone just nods their head and agrees. That's a nightmare to me. I'd rather be challenged critically and speak to different perspectives and points of view than to just be like, things are great, right? Right, right, right. Things are great, right, right, right. Things are good, good, good. That's a nightmare world to me, where no one gets challenged. Everyone is just blissfully ignorant. And that's a danger. And if you want that kind of world, go hide under a rock. If you don't want to see things that are going to make you upset, then you know what? Do me a favor. Turn off the internet and just hide underneath your bed. Because in a world where you can't be challenged critically, what's the point of living? In a world where you can't get new information or either that, maybe stop evil, stop hate speech. You know, I'd rather live in a world where people speak up than be silent.
We need more robust dialogue, and that must include the right to insult or to offend. And even if, as Lord Deere says, you know, the freedom to be inoffensive is no freedom at all. The repeal of this word in this clause will be only a small step, but it will, I hope, be a critical one in what should be a longer-term project to pause and slowly rewind the creeping culture of censoriousness. It is a small skirmish in the battle, in my opinion, to deal with what Sir Salman Rushdie refers to as the outrage industry. Self-appointed arbiters of the public good, encouraging media-stoked outrage to which the police feel under terrible pressure to react. A newspaper rings up Scotland Yard. Someone has said something slightly insulting on Twitter about someone who we think a national treasure. What are you going to do about it? And the police panic and they scrabble around and then grasp the most inappropriate lifeline of all, Section 5 of the Public Order Act, that thing where you can arrest anybody for saying anything that might be construed by anyone else as insulting. You know, they don't seem to need a real victim. They need only to make the judgment that somebody could have been offended if they had heard or read what has been said.
Lawrence Fine, my God, listen to him, then listen to Biden or Trump, night or day. Yep. Yeah, I know. This is a very, it's on point. I apologize for pausing, but hey, I wanted to bring that up here because listen, folks, we need people to articulately defend why it's okay for jokes to be jokes, why it's okay for comedy to be comedy, why it's okay for insults to be out there. Now, yes, there are mean insults. There are, borders on, yes, the offensive. But when it comes down to hate speech, I expect, and this is my blissful ignorance, this is my idealism, which is my weakness, my idealism, that the world is filled with good people. And when there is a real douchebag, a dickhead that comes around, good people step up, call him out, and give him a good old gut check of reality. All right? But silence and suppression doesn't work. It never has, and it never will. How do I know that? Because Hard Lens Media is still standing. We've gone through the censorship, suppression, demonetization, termination, and we are still here. Because if you believe in free speech, you fight for it. Every inch, every mile. And you don't stop fighting because as soon as you're done, those doors close in on you.
This ludicrous degree of latitude. The storms that surround Twitter and Facebook comment have raised some fascinating issues about free speech, which we haven't really yet come to terms with. Firstly, that we all have to take responsibility for what we say, which is quite a good lesson to learn. But secondly, we've learned how appallingly prickly and intolerant society has become of even the mildest adverse comment. The law should not be aiding and abetting this new intolerance. Free speech can only suffer if the law prevents us from dealing with its consequences. I offer my wholehearted support to the Reform Section 5 campaign. Thank you very much.
And to which I had to say, people of the United Kingdom, I'm seeing from one of our viewing audience members, DD London. Obviously, I'm going to assume that you're telling the truth. You better be, or else that you're from the United Kingdom. And this is a very serious issue that's impacting your country. To which I had to say, people of the United Kingdom, fight for it. Okay. Now, yes, we have the First Amendment here. But unfortunately, here in America, we do have people on the left and on the right, emotionally immature, easily triggered people who want to silence their opposition. And to which I have to say, for both sides, grow the hell up. Censorship is a tool of authoritarianism. Censorship is a tool for the fools. Censorship is for the tools who are not, for the fools who are unenlightened. I stuttered there for a minute. Sorry about that, folks. It's just this hits close home to me because I have gone through this arena. I despise it in all of its forms. And just so you guys know how serious it can get, I played this in an earlier segment last week on Hard Lens Media. These are British police officers arresting a man for a Facebook post. A Facebook post. Now look, I get it. You know, you don't know what, you got to be careful what you post, I guess, here and there. But I guess in the United Kingdom, you really got to be careful here and there because you might get the knock at the door from the political police.
Okay, so
What do you mean I can't have any alcohol?
okay, well, I'll tell you. Okay, the time's 20 to 3, 14:40. I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the electronic communications network. I'm just
What?
127 of the Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say that it may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which later are in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested,
going to be arrested, okay?
right?
So you
And
got to the police station.
right,
Ask you, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
oh really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right,
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
right.
Have you got anything in your pockets, Thomas?
I've got my keys. That's about it. I think keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 of Basic Criminal Act.
Now, listen, there's also been reports where there's been some British authorities saying that, and mind you, again, this was gold mine for internet memes, but the key word is but, saying they could extradite U.S. citizens to the U.K. because in case they're involved in any of these controversial posts, right? To which I'd say, hey, British authorities, did you try that once? You want to have another round? Try and extradite a U.S. citizen for. Well, actually, you know what? I could see that happening. Actually, you know what? I could see our government going along with it because let's face it, everybody's on board for censorship. But try it. Try it. Left hook, right hook.
Right.
That's dangerous items.
You said I was going to be arrested under some what information? But I'm going to be
We've had
arrested for
reports that
posting on
you've made
Facebook.
some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's sounds like they've
Can
come
you
from
can you
a
tell me what
Facebook
this
account
comment
in your
was?
name.
Would you
Okay, well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so,
Okay.
what am I going to be locked up for the night, or
Hopefully
Well,
not.
hopefully not.
right? Do I need to
Unless
take
you
my
film
medications
us.
with me?
Yes, we will look at taking all of those.
When do you need to take them?
Well, I've got pain medications. I've got sleeping medication. I've got anxiety medications, which
Yeah, and again, you're building up his anxiety. This is an old man. Listen. Sometimes old people are unfiltered. That's why I love them. Okay. But you're taking a guy in for what? A post on Facebook? Heaven forbid. I bet if he shows up, he's in jail. There's gonna be a hardened, beefed up dude in jail there. He's like, "Hey, mate, bloody hell, what you in here for?" That's a terrible British impression. Oh, gee, jolly good, gee willikers. I just posted a post on Facebook. Help, 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 bloody officer, get me out of here. This man's a monster. That's terrible. That's terrible. Don't ever ask me to do a British voice. And I hope that doesn't ignite a war. People of Great Britain, forgive me.
I might take one of those in a bit.
Okay. Well, if we take everything with us, then you've got everything there, haven't you?
And then
Okay.
we've got a nurse up there. They'll be able to.
Okay.
They'll be able to come and see you, and then once you've been there, they can assess whether or not medication can be issued. All right. So what we're going to do is, if you want to pop yourself up, we're just going
All right.
to
You
search.
need the glasses
Search you.
to come with you.
My glasses.
Yeah. Do you want to
Why?
take them with you?
Okay.
Okay. So what can we take away from this? First of all, again, I want to pull up this site again one more time, and I'm going to be posting this link in the comment section. But again, Reform Section 5. Feel free to insult me. Listen, folks, life is not a liberal arts campus. Grow the hell up. It's important for us to remember that free speech is fundamentally important, and it's the right not only for U.S. citizens, but everyone around the world has a right to be critical, to call out, jag off politicians, overhyped up celebrities. And yes, folks, let's face it, sometimes a person needs a good old slap of reality. Life isn't all calm and sunshine, But the thing is, free speech is a right, and there are people who do abuse it. But I like to think that the world is filled with good people. But as soon as you start silencing people, as soon as you start suppressing people, as soon as you start using the tool of authoritarianism, no one will speak, and we will be silent forever.